Hi, this is 365801 and this is a Buzzword 2023 Reading Challenge TBR and recommendations video. So we are back with another video for the Buzzword 2023 Reading Challenge. This is Kayla's readathon. This is her third year. She's been doing this for quite some time now. And in this incarnation, it's every single month there is a new buzzword and you read a book with that buzzword in the title. Some of these buzzwords are specific words or phrases, and sometimes they're thematic, and so there's a lot more variation and a lot more openness for choosing your topics. For May, it is a thematic month, so it's flavours, and flavours could be flavours, seasonings, herbs, spices, anything that could be used as a sort of flavour. So some foods have both food and flavour, and some foods are just foods and not flavours. So the best one, as an example, that Kayla gives is mustard. Mustard is a food and a flavour, but pasta, for example, pasta is just a food, it's not a flavour. You don't often get pasta flavoured things. Although I did come across a noodle shop affair, but I don't think you can class that as a flavour. So, yeah, Kayla went through many examples in her video, so I will put the link to her video so you can go check out her explanation, which is much better than mine. And I also wrote down all of her examples, which I'll go through in a second. In her video, she gives some example books that you could read, and also you can get hold of the visuals for social media to keep track of your reading throughout the year, or if you want to post on social media and keep up to date with what you're doing or give recommendations. So, as usual, when I have a theme of some kind, I will go to my spreadsheet and I will check if it's something specific. I can just put it into the spreadsheet and I will find the titles. Unfortunately, when it's thematic, you kind of have to have a bit of a brainstorm or go through every title that you have. First of all, I just thought I would put in some of the things that Kayla had put in. Salt, for example, I don't have anything. Sugar, honey, apples, mangoes, ginger, sage, lemon, vanilla, even pizza, she said, was an opportunity you could have. So I did put in all of these titles. And I did end up just going through my whole list and writing down titles. So I've got a few examples from my collection. I've got a few from my other collection that I'll show at the end. But it is a bit, it's a bit of a mess, this video. The first title I'm actually going to talk about is one that is a digital title. I'm not going to go through Fotekia, I'm not going to go through eRenta or anything like that. But the one that I did search for in my physical collection, but I knew I had read one that had ginger in the title. Ginger is actually a Sublime title. So Sublime has a digital title by Isaku Natsume, which is sort of high school teacher-student age gap one. So I know not everyone likes it. It's called Devil's Honey, and it has a spin-off one that is the main character in Devil's Honey's younger brother and his best friend. So there's not too much of an age gap, and it's a younger brother and best friend story, which is always fun too. And that's called Ginger Honey. So that gets you two flavours right off the bat. So if you're interested, I recommend that one. Now I'm just going to go through what I've got in my drawers, so it's going to be chaotic. So this first one is Dekoboko Sugar Days and Dekoboko Bittersweet Days by Atsuko Yusem. This is a childhood friends to lovers with a height gap and sort of maybe moe gap as part of the story. It's very cute and sweet, and I highly recommend it. Now on to my drawers, and I just totally bypassed Sweet Blood, even though there's 10 volumes right there, and I pulled out this title. This title is Honey Senior Darling Junior. This is a 2-volume series by Chifumi Ochi, who has a 5-volume series called Breathe or Breath, and I have no clue how on earth I could ever get them. They're so expensive. Unfortunately, this is the only one I have. But it is 2 volumes. I have not read it, so this is a possibility for me on my TBR. So, could be one to read. The next title is one that is a total stretch, by the way. This is Like Two Peas in a Pod. This is a Tokyo Pop title by Goro Kambe. I know, peas, right? But actually I was thinking, as someone who's eaten a lot of vegan ice cream, pea protein is in a lot of things. So as a flavour, it's there. It's the pea flavour, even though it's not peas you're eating. So I did think this counts. I don't know if you agree. Let me know in the comments below. But this is a cute sort of high school story about two boys who seemingly have a lot more in common than they might do in actuality. But it's a really cute story and probably worth a reread. The next one I have to show is Cherry Magic. So Cherry, 30 Years of Virginity Can Make You a Wizard by Yu Toyota. This is a Square Enix title about a man who turns 30 whilst being a virgin and discovers that he can read minds and hear people's thoughts if he is touching them. And it's hilarious. Unfortunately, I only have volumes 1 and 3 at the moment. I really need to pick up the other volumes. Stat. If you don't want to read the manga, you can always watch the drama. Highly recommend. On to some Ginny manga titles, and the first one is Honey Smile by Yura Miyazawa. I know I've read this. I've read it twice. I actually have read it fairly recently, just to remind myself of what it was about. And if you ask me what it's about, I have no idea. I just know I've read it. Now this next one is Wild Honey by Sei Takenaka. And this one I do remember. It's a sort of high school one with a werewolf, two rival high school students. And unfortunately this is volume 1 of a series. And they did not say that on the cover, and they did not print the rest of the series. So it's a bit disappointing because I actually enjoyed this. But then there's animal ears and werewolves, so what do you expect? This is another one, Honey Coloured Pancakes by Keiko Kinoshita. And I'm pretty sure I read this at the same time that I read Honey Smile. I might even have a video. If I do, I'll put a link to it in the corner. Once again, no idea what this is about. I just know that I've read it. Now on to some more. This one is a Kitty Media title and it's called Rose of the Rhine by Megumu Minami. Rose flavouring is something that you get in, is it Turkish Delight? And other such things. I've had rose tea, rose coffee, rose jam and jellies, things like that. Rose as a flavouring is actually quite delicious. But yeah, this one is a sort of fantasy medieval type setting. I do not recommend, but I know I've read it. On to another Kitty Media title. This one is Poison Cherry Drive. So another cherry flavoured one. This is by Motoni Modoru. And this is one I haven't read and I keep meaning to read and I haven't actually got round to it. So I feel like this should probably go on my TBR. Although it's Motoni Modoru, so it might not be fabulous. On to some blue titles now. And we've got Tea for Two by Yaya Sakuragi. This is a 4-volume series. It's a little bit tricky to get hold of all 4 volumes nowadays, but these blue titles sometimes are really entertaining, if obviously a bit aged. But this one, obviously Yaya Sakuragi, I'm a big fan of, and I do enjoy 2 high school boys, one getting forced to participate in tea ceremony training by a very forceful seme who is part of a tea ceremony dynasty. The next one is Blood Honey or Blood Honey Plus. I think it's just Blood Honey. This is a Sakyo Yozakura title and it is about a very good nurse or phlebotomist, that's someone who draws blood, who is actually a vampire, and the young man who desperately wants his blood to be taken because if he doesn't have it he ends up with too much blood and becomes violent and aggressive. Yeah, you'd think they're a match made in heaven. It's a weird one, not gonna lie. Now on to this next one now, Lychee Light Club. Obviously lychee is a flavouring, so I had to pick it up. It's Usamaru Furuya. This is a horror. It also has a little bit of like male romance kind of thing. It's definitely there, so I would say give it a go, but maybe wait until October. That's when I always do my reread. Now on to some J titles. This one is Spicy But Sweet by Nadoki Kojima. It's actually part of like a duology with Naughty But Nice, I think. I think that's what it's called. There's a second one anyway. So spicy and sweet could be flavorings if it's something spicy or something is sweet. So this actually covers, I think, two. But it's Nadoki Kojima and I'm not a fan, so I won't be reading it. Now I actually was going to bypass this one because I was like, oh, that's not really a flavouring. But actually I think you can get martini flavoured things, like a martini in a chocolate, like if you're getting chocolate bonbons. This is me at a stretch. Anyway, it's alcohol. How to Capture a Martini by Makoto Tatano. This is also a duology, so you could read both of these ones. The other one's a sidecar as a cocktail. I do need to read both of these, and I need to read them together, but I'm putting it off because it's Makoto Tatano. I also found Noodle Shop Affair by C.J. Mikulski, but as it is a pasta and not a flavouring, it doesn't count, so I put it back. Now the last J title I found was Chocolate Surprise by Lily Hoshino. This is a collection of short stories or one-shots in a one-shot collection. I think there should be a name for that, and I don't know what it is. Anyway, it's Lily Hoshino, so there's very soft, round and young-looking characters in it. Although this one I did actually enjoy. Now on to some Sublime titles, and the obvious one that just kind of jumped out at me as soon as I heard this flavour, Candy Colour Paradox, and this is now a 6th volume series. I have not got the 6th volume yet, by Isaku Natsume. So I already mentioned Isaku Natsume. If you like Isaku Natsume, Candy Colour Paradox is a good way to go about getting your buzzword for this month. It's a candy's kind of flavouring with lots of things, isn't it? It's a general sweetness, so I just thought that would be a good one. This one is obviously about two reporters who are investigative reporters, and they're always getting up to shenanigans. And I heard this lovely lady say, if you let someone shenan once, they're gonna shenan again, and that is poetry, pure poetry. There is also Finder Volume 10 by Aino Yamane, which is Honey Moon, and I think that should count because it has the word honey in it. So another honey one. There's a lot of honey ones, by the way, a lot of honey ones. So yeah, Finder is an obvious choice. On to one that I didn't even pick up on until I'd noticed the martini thing, and that's Liquor and Cigarettes by Ranmaru Zaria. Now, technically, obviously, the cigarette is not a flavouring you would want to have, unless it was like one of those weird beans. But a liquor flavour is just something you do have in a lot of chocolates and sweets and desserts and things, and it's like a nondescript type of description. But yeah, you could technically read this one. I mean, it's Ranmaru Zaria. It's hot and smexy. It's a great read, so I do actually recommend it. On to some more June titles, and this first one is Castle Mango. This is a 2-volume series, art by Muku Ogura, and the story is by Narase Konohara. I love Narase Konohara's work. I love Muku Ogura, and I am top tier Castle Mango 100% stan. I'm a simp for. It's great. A 100%. Love it. It's about a high school boy and the director of porn videos and how they kind of come together and meet and they have this great relationship, and it's so kind of wholesome. It's kind of wholesome, which is weird to say about this because it's set in a love hotel. So there you go. If you can get your hands on it, definitely give it a read, or digitally if you can't. Another one that has 2 in the title is Apple and Honey by Hide Yoshiko. This is a 2-volume series about college age students. There's a really beautiful, poignant moment in one of them, so I do remember really loving this. I've read it digitally, but this is my physical copies that I need to read, and it is wonderful, and it has also This Rose-Coloured Life, so it has rose in the title. So Apple and Honey, This Rose-Coloured Life, covers 3 different flavours. Isn't that great? Now, one I hadn't even thought of, and I don't think I've ever read, and I have no idea what it's about, so sorry about that. Jar used Doruko Sugar Milk. No idea what this is about, absolutely none whatsoever, but it does look quite nice underneath the dust jacket. This is obviously an older junior manga title. So yeah, this one should go on my TBR. Now the last ones in my drawers that I found was The Cornered Mouse Dreams of Cheese. This is a 2-volume series that I absolutely love. It is by Setona Mizushiro and a 7 Seas title. So it has the other title as well, which is The Carp on the Chopping Block Jumps Twice. This is a modern classic, I think, when it comes to the BL. Just so good. It's so psychological and it's so character based and character focused about 2 men and their almost inevitable and unavoidable relationship. And I love it so much. Now onto some in my boxes, and this first one is Sweet Regard by Juji Fusa. I have not read this, it's still in its plastic and I have no idea what it's about. That's why I've got them up here, so that I can read them. So that one's first on the list. Then I've got Sweet Revolution. This is a Yukine Honami and Serubo Suzuki title. I have recently read Yukine Honami's work, Rin, and I'd like to read more. So Sweet Revolution might get put on my TBR as well. Now, one I've already read this year is Vie En Rose, so obviously Rose again, Sakurako Yamada. This was a series of short stories in a collection. It was okay. It was only okay. But I did like the story about the writer and the bar. But yeah, it was only okay. Now, one I picked up because I'd already picked up a couple of other ones is Alcohol, Shirt and Kiss, which is another one that I've had for ages that I haven't read. This is a Yuko Kawabara. Kuwabara. That was difficult for me to say. Anyway, I have no idea what this is about, but this is also an alcohol-based one. Now, in my other box, I have one by Norikazu Akira, a Sublime title, which is rare to have Sublime titles in my other collection, but this is Honey Darling, and one of the first ones that they published in print. It's a really nice one about a guy who kind of gets picked up to work in a vet. I think he's homeless, and then he ends up falling in love with the vet and all the animals, and he kind of turns his life around, and it's beautiful and lovely, and I think it's deserving of a reread. Now, another one that's kind of alcoholic, but also kind of not, is Juicy Cider by Shimba. I also have not read this one, so I don't know what it's about, but cider in Japanese is just a soda flavour, so it's like a generic sweet soda, whereas cider in the UK is like an alcoholic beverage, so it could be either. Now, another one I picked up was In the Walnut. This is a 2-volume series by Toko Kawaii. I have not read it. It's quite dense, and I think it's all to do with art, and I probably should read it because I love Toko Kawaii, and I kind of want to now. And last but most certainly not least in the physical side of things is Maiden Rules. Now, this is technically now a 3-volume series, but only 2 were published by June Manga. This is Fusunosuke Inaria, and it is wonderful and lovely and beautiful, and Fusunosuke Inaria has amazing art styles and great comedy, and it is traumatic and everything. It's great. Go and watch the OVAs. Now, there were also a couple of ones that didn't show up because they're in my other collection. This is Caramel by Puku Okuyama, who also has a couple of other ones. I think I have the Whispers one. I've not read this, so I don't know what it's about. I also have Sunflower, because you're going to have sunflower seeds, so sunflower oil, things like that. This is Hyota Fujiyama. This is also a 2-volume series in the old style of... So these are quite easy to get hold of. You could definitely get a copy. Another one is Priceless Honey. So another one, a Shioko Kano title. This is tricky to get hold of because it is one that was published, you know, between 2010 and 2012. That kind of time period, which is when the Junior Manga titles are generally a little bit more difficult to get hold of or very expensive. So if you can get hold of them for a good price, good for you. But it is Shioko Kano, so you never know what you're going to get. And the next one is Vanilla. So I did come across one that is Vanilla. This is a 2-volume series by Ryu Yamakami. I haven't read this. It's on my to-read list, but it's in my other collection. And one that I did read, and this is the one that I was talking about in another video. This is Nanao Okuda's Honey Chocolate, and I read this in January. It's part of that reading vlog that I have mentioned a couple of times in previous Buzzword videos. I specifically read it so that I could tick this one off. So technically I don't need to read anything for this video because I've already done it. Just like Vie En Rose as well. That covered both buzzwords for the 1st January and May. Brilliant. This one was actually the second one of a series. Her first book is called Object of My Affection. I mentioned it in a previous video. So if you want to read Honey Chocolate, I suggest you get Object of My Affection first. Read that and then this one, because this one made no sense whatsoever. And then I read at the end that it was a sequel, and no point up to that point did I know that. So yeah, definitely read Object of My Affection first and then Honey Chocolate. And to end on another one, this one's just straight up candy, and I have not read this one either, so I don't know what it's about. But that's all of the titles I found. So this is everything. I put them in 2 different piles. One is kind of like a sweet pile or a fruity pile, and one is a savoury or alcoholic pile. So it depends what you're after. There's a mix. I could have put this in different piles. I could have said this is read and unread. Because there is quite a few unread titles in there. It's actually a massive amount of unread titles in there. So for this particular Buzzword month, there is so many that I could choose. Sweet Regard, Sweet Revolution. I wouldn't choose Spicy but Sweet. Sugar Milk. Honey Senior, Darling Junior. I haven't read that one. Oh dear. Like Poison Cherry Drive, Alcohol Shirt and Kiss, Juicy Cider, In the Walnut. So there's quite a few that I haven't read. Then there's the ones that I have read that I would be perfectly happy to have a reread of. So like The Corner of My Streams of Cheese, always up for a reread of that one. Tea for Two I haven't read in ages. Like 2 Peas in a Pod was really cute. I would read that again. Like pretty much everything here I would read, minus the Spicy but Sweet. Naruki Kojima, sorry. I just don't really want to. Maiden Rules I would like to do a read of. Oh man, are we going to get a volume 3? Are we going to get a volume 3 in English? I don't know. If she's going to continue to write it, that would be good. So there's some really big hitting titles in this pile, like Castle Mango. If you can get it, read it. It's amazing. You can get it digitally, so I do recommend it. Yeah, Maiden Rose is a big title. Apple and Honey is a big title. They're kind of difficult to get hold of without, mortgaging your house. But that's just how it is now, I think. So yeah, I've got a good wee stack here of titles. Hopefully you've got something in your collection that you can read, or if you have found any of these interesting or intriguing, let me know down in the comments. If you're planning on reading any, or if you've read any already this year. Like I said, I've already read Vie En Rose, so that does kind of cover this year. But I'm for sure going to be reading some of these titles at some point in the year. Definitely. And some of them will be rereads. I've already read Deco Sugar Days. I've done this, guys. I don't need to read any of these. I'm just doing them to show you. There's loads you could choose from. So yeah, hopefully you've found something. This is not really a TBR for me, because like I said, I've already done it. That video that I mentioned is on my Patreon. Another plug for my Patreon channel. It's $1 a month. It's only 1 tier. You get early access, some Patreon exclusives, and a shout out at the end of each video. So if you're interested in supporting me, that would be great. If you don't want to do that, subscribing would be also amazing. Liking, sharing, and commenting down below. All of that really helps out the channel and just gives me a little boost to my ego, really. So yeah, hopefully you found this interesting, entertaining, or you've found something. I would love to hear from you if you've read any of these titles and what you think of them, especially the ones that I have not read. And I need to have someone say why I should read them. I should put that out there into the world. Try and convince me. Why should I read Sugar Milk? I have no idea what it's about. But yeah, this is my kind of one of the challenges I'm doing this year, is to read my physical TBR as much as I possibly can to get through it. I think it's something, if I have the books, I need to read the books. So this is another way of going through my collection and being like, hey, do you remember this? You own this. So yeah, this is a good thing for me as well. Hopefully it is for you. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking to the end of the video. Take care, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!